Shut up and sit down.
My name's John Wynn. I'm 84 years old. My knees are pretty used up, but I still love to ride my bike. Bicycle around and around. I like to feel the of wheels on the ground. On country roads or parking lots, sometimes I ride downtown.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Lee Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. During all of your training, remember that pain is your friend that will always tell you the truth. Enjoy episode 94.
Where the wind is always at my back and the sun will always shine.
Son, lend me your energy. Would you look at the time? I gotta go. I'll be back in April though, so...
Trucks leave us lots of room and you never have a flat.
As I gazed upon the majesty of cold and snow, I thought to myself, winter sucks. Winter sucks.
Hi, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Turing, and today I'm here with Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing good.
Doing well, looking good. You look good.
To his left, Evan Price.
I think the only person drinking anything right now is Jake.
Not
right?
drinking or drinking?
What are you drinking?
Nobody else is drinking anything here, so this is a direct question to Jake. What are you drinking today?
Black coffee.
Oh, man, we are very boring.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
There's sponsorship.
We need to... That Kirkland sponsorship, guys, is slipping through our fingers.
And not sitting in a seat today, coming to you from Skype, Mr. Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance on location today, coming at you.
On location.
On location. I'm curious to hear more about that.
How are you guys?
Doing well. You are kind of short on time today, right? Mr. Lance, are you still there?
He's so short. No, he's so short on time that
did we already lose him?
Wait, I'm back.
He's back.
What the heck happened?
I don't know.
Lost you.
Don't move.
Okay, I'm not moving anywhere. I must have touched something I'm not supposed to touch.
There was a joke in there, but I'm going to bite my tongue. Since you're a little bit short on time today, and we're wanting to get into this whole backpedal thing that we do every week for some reason, let's let you go first, Lance.
Yes, you bet. I am up in Tacoma, Washington, at the site of the Cyclocross National Championships. It's a big giant event. There's going to be about 2,000 racers over the course of 4 or 5 days. Today is Monday when we're recording this. I will race a non-championship race on Tuesday and then my championship race for the men's 50 to 54 age category on Thursday. So that's what I'm doing up here. So
nice.
And
you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Man, this is going fantastic.
Yeah, so good.
Excellent.
And let's see. I did race this week as well.
How many times? 17 times again?
Just one time. I needed to get that 1/5 race. I've been talking about it for a couple weeks, and I did drive up to Whidbey Island in the Puget Sound and did a cyclocross race there. It ended up going well for me. I got 4th place in my age division.
Nice.
Well done.
And ended up getting like 300 points for my race, which actually will help my ranking and move me up like 2 rows, I think, on the starting grid.
Oh, wow.
So,
what row are you going to be in, Lance?
I have no idea. They will post that tomorrow morning.
There's 2,000 athletes, so he's in row 1,075.
It's a single-filed line, actually, I'm pretty sure, at Nationals, yeah.
So my race has 100 people signed up so far.
How many per row? Is it usually about 10?
I have no idea, actually.
I am guessing. Go check it out.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I will be close to the top third. Maybe I'll be closer than halfway.
That's really good.
Yes, well, I'll be somewhere mid-pack or top third, I think.
So you just got to hold. You basically just got to hold position and pass a few guys with flats, and you're in there.
I'm just like I'm just gonna roll with it and just see what happens. I don't know if it will. I have like no expectations. If I finish in like the top 25, I will be ecstatic. I'm not, just because there's guys that I can't even like hold their wheel. So it's pretty amazing when you get to this national level. It's a whole different ball game. So, but it's so close. I just had to come. Yeah. So
it's just everybody from Colorado there. That's what I picture. It's just you're basically racing the entire city of Denver.
Well, there's quite a few from Colorado. There's a bunch from back east. It has a heavy Pacific Northwest presence because it's close here. So yeah, it'll be good.
Have you seen any big names up there?
No, I just pulled into the parking lot, and this is like a chill day. You register, you set up the team tent. Tomorrow will be a whole different ball game. So
Lance, there are no chill days. Now is when you attack the pros. You bring a camera and you come in the microphone right in their face and you get us some hot takes. Okay.
That's right. I need to get some hot takes from some pros. I'll keep my eyes peeled.
Okay, good.
Anything that you're really looking forward to this week other than the races itself?
It's nice to have like 5 days where all I'm going to do is think about racing and cross and my bikes and keeping things set. That's just kind of nice to be able to just focus on that. But let's be honest, I kind of do that anyway, so maybe it's nothing special.
Right on.
So it's exciting.
Cool. Do you need to head out?
Yeah, I got to roll. I got to get to the registration and do all this other bow jazz. So thank you guys. Pleasure talking with you. Sorry to all both of my fans out there that are listening right now.
All three of the fans listening.
Yeah, we're your fans.
The entire country of Iceland.
And both people in Iceland.
Yeah.
Right on.
We expect a killer race review in a week, Lance.
Well, all right. I'll bring some stories back.
Yeah, keep us posted on how everything goes as the week goes on, too.
All right, man.
All right, man. Take care. Good luck.
Good luck, Lance.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you, bud. All right, Matt, you want to backpedal for us?
Sure. So this week, one thing that I thought was actually pretty cool was that all four of us rode together for it's been a long time since
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Well, it's been a while since I haven't been riding that much. So
yeah,
I can tell you it's been a long time.
It has.
It's probably been since this summer.
I bet that was the last time. It was probably over the summer. When would Jake have been with us? Is what I'm trying to think.
I don't even know.
I'm telling you, it's probably this summer. It's been a long
probably.
time. It's probably one of those like Friday night rides or something.
I don't think Evan showed up to any of those.
It was definitely a weekend
man.
ride. Well, the start time, it was pretty dark by the start time usually.
Yeah.
So the four of us rode together for this ride.
One of these weekends.
Well,
is what I was thinking too before.
We actually rode together this past Saturday for what we talked about on this podcast a bit, which is the ugly Christmas sweater ride.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it was not a beautiful ride.
It was balmy.
In all honesty, it was rainy and cold.
The weather was about as ugly as the sweaters. Yeah.
Ugly,
it could have been worse. It could have rained a lot more, but it was cold and it was wet.
I will say I think it is nostalgic that ride always be terrible weather. It would not feel right if that was a nice sunny.
We've had good weather in the past.
That's the first one that was bad weather. Yeah.
Oh, last year you're right. We did. I don't remember last year very well because I flatted multiple times and really did not get to ride much. But
but the weather was okay. The roads were grimy and gross, but
okay.
Yeah. So that I did a fair amount of swimming this past week, and. What else? A little bit of running. Our running group was a little bit small this week.
Yeah.
This weekend. So if you guys are interested in running at all, the Lakeside Long Run is Sundays at the Heritage Trail.
We're going to start shamelessly advertising that here soon.
We need people. Yeah.
And don't make us get desperate because me and Matt are capable of getting desperate and making fools of ourselves.
Yes.
So
Very capable of doing that. So nice little week.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Evan, backpedal.
Pretty similar week to Matt's. Saturday did the ugly sweater ride. I think I took the person who got the coldest award. I think I at least looked the coldest. I think, or I was complaining the most.
There was a girl with shorts on.
Oh, that's true.
She wasn't
was
cold,
definitely
though.
the coldest.
Oh no,
That's Mel. She's tough
yeah.
as nails.
She's a lot tougher than me, and she wasn't complaining nearly as much as I was. Like, I was definitely complaining the most.
Robert had some pretty good shivers going on, though.
Robert looked very cold.
You and Robert were both, I think, right there with each other.
Me and Robert did at the coffee shop look at each other, and you could just tell both of our eyes. We were like, "This is cold.
Yeah.
This is very chilly right now."
It was just that 40 and raining.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
it'd kind of be nicer if it was below freezing.
But
so
that
it would
coffee place
snow.
we went to is awesome.
You like Relevant?
Relevant Coffee's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Told ya.
Downtown Vancouver spot, cool building.
Yeah, so we went. So the ride went like this. We went. We kind of pushed off from one of our favorite little brewery places. We went down to Vancouver, which is what 20 miles or something.
To get there?
What was it? It was 15.
That's not even that.
Not even,
The round
yeah.
trip, the whole ride was only 22 miles, so it was about 11 or 12 miles to get down there.
So we went down to the waterfront, got a photo op.
Yep.
And then went to a coffee shop at Relevant, which was fantastic.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm glad I've got Relevant. I feel like is now my like downtown Vancouver coffee spot, along with Blue Door for bakery stuff, and then Camus I've got Tataza. So I'm not cheating on Tataza. It's just far enough away. That's like, if you're downtown Vancouver and need coffee, I'm probably gonna go to Relevant.
Yeah.
You could have like a real sectioned off area, and you could even add Hidden Rivers Roasters if you're like.
I could.
Yeah.
That's unclaimed territory there in the middle.
It's
so,
way over
yeah.
there. It's way over there, downtown Camas.
Pretty far. Yep. Got 3 points no matter where you can get good coffee then. Outside of that though, I built a treadmill
Yeah.
before I got here with Cassie.
Got some treadmill work in.
It was fun.
Not run.
Just
not running.
Wasn't
on the treadmill.
moving on it. No, just
Turning wrenches,
just
huh?
turning wrenches to build a treadmill. So yeah, it's interesting how the only story that I have worthwhile from telling this week is we bought this treadmill online, and you know how that goes. You buy a treadmill that's a $1,500 treadmill for $300 or so. You know that it's not going to be nicely taken apart in the box and just here's the money. Yeah, thank you. No, so this person very nicely selling it to us was there to help, but it was stuffed in the back of his garage. It's a very heavy treadmill. Our cars didn't quite. My CRV did not quite size out exactly how it should have to get this treadmill
Did you just
into
kinda
there.
like drag it with your car home?
We actually just propped it up on the wheels, and I attached it with some string to the back of the car and just drove down the highway.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it seems legit. Yeah,
so
the wheels on the treadmill.
we
they're-
got those plastic wheels are pretty durable.
They're
I'm pretty
safe
sure.
up to 65. After that, who knows?
That's what I've heard. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was humming at about 62 all the way down.
Keep her under 65.
So we got the treadmill almost all the way into the car after some kind of creative shimmying, but it was still hanging out a good like foot. So we trash bag the end of the treadmill, and we take some cord and we cinch down the trunk.
Was it raining too?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was
gosh.
pouring. So we cinch down the trunk then at this point. The string from the cord is on the back of my headrest is where I cinched it to. So we pull away and we're like, this is sketchy, but you know what? We're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Like, there's no way anything can go wrong here. This is all the way in Lake Oswego. So, no, wait, my bad. Was it Trout? It was Troutdale.
Okay.
Trout. So we're talking for people who don't know where these days are. We're talking like at
30, 40 minutes. 30
Well,
minutes. It depends on where in traffic.
at the pace that I had to be driving at, and with traffic, it was going to be an hour.
Yeah.
So I had to, and nobody can see me here, obviously, except for you two. I had to get back into almost like a pitcher's position to grab this cord because the very first bump I go over, the cord's not quite cinched down enough, and it kind of pops up and then pops back down real hard. And I was like, oh, that's not good because we're going 25 miles an hour right now, which means when we're up to speed, that's going to be bouncing around a lot. So I reach behind my head and I grab the cord and kind of cinch it down as much as I can. And I'm like, this is sustainable. I'm just going to hold my arm in this position for an hour, which I did and could not feel my arm by the end of the ride.
You're lucky that something didn't like pull your arm
That's
back and
exactly
like, rip your arm out of the socket.
That's exactly what everybody was telling me when I got that position. They're like, you do understand if that treadmill decided to go out the back, like your arm was going with it. I was like, yeah, I'm very, very aware of that. But
Can I make a suggestion to you?
yeah,
Next time you go and buy
get
a
better at
treadmill,
tying knots.
pick up your phone and call Jake. You can say, hey, Jake, can I borrow
I
your
need the
truck?
truck.
Yes. Would have been a hell of a lot easier.
It would have been so like we just thought for sure we could get the thing
Yeah.
into two pieces. The problem is the two pieces of the treadmill are tethered by this like big electrical complex that you cannot take apart.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate because we folded it down to two pieces and it was like barely not able to squeeze in there.
Oh,
like
okay.
we're talking centimeters. We're
Yeah.
like putting us away from this, but yeah, It was an absolute event.
Or next time, I'll at least, at a minimum, let you borrow any of my tie-down straps.
Yeah,
it would have been a lot better than what you had going on there.
Than the little cinch cord we had there. But yeah.
Cool.
So there was my weekend. Lots of treadmill intervals. Yeah.
Treadmill
talk.
Treadmill work.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, my back pedal doesn't sound too much different than your guys. It's just a lot of Zwift stuff with the team and going to Pilates and just kind of doing my thing for this whole off season, trying to get back into shape. The Ugly Christmas Sweater Ride was still a ton of fun. It was funny because
a ton of people still showed up.
We had a lot of people that were RSVP'd to go. It was going to be our biggest year, and then the weather was changing all week long. It was kind of like a moving target, and I'm like, all right, I have a bad feeling about this. I think we're going to finally get our first year of bad weather. Sure enough, that morning I woke up, went downstairs to get a cup of coffee. Before I even checked my phone, I could hear it just raining outside. It's like, oh no. And it's cold. And got the cup of coffee, sat down, looked at my phone, and like there's all these text messages and direct messages like, hey, sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it this. And it was like every excuse under the sun. Nobody wanted to say, oh, I'm not going to ride in the rain. So it was pretty funny. But
kids got soccer practice. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but it's all good because it still was a good showing. I counted, I think once we actually left and the last couple stragglers jumped on, we were like 42 people.
I guessed 40 when I was
I think it was 42 is what I
40,
counted up, which given the weather and the fact that it was not great, that's fantastic. So, and we've had a lot of people start making donations to our Bikes for Kids program, or little charity thing that we're running here for buying bikes for unfortunate kids. And that was a nice little springboard for us to kind of get that word out there. And a lot of people have been sharing it on social media, and the monies have been coming in, and we're well on our way. So we're going to be doing that for the entire month. It's not just a Christmas thing, but the entire month into January. And I'm really excited to see how many bikes we're able to purchase. So I'll post up more information on that too.
Yeah, if people want to purchase, they can
for sure.
They can hop in there and
we need to start sharing it on the. I don't think I've shared it on the Dial Triathlon page
well,
yet.
We will. Yeah, we'll put it on all of our social media stuff.
Yep.
Outside of that, I'm just way too busy right now. I need a reprieve. I need
a vacation.
Well, kind of, yeah. But we're coming up on Christmas, and I got to get a bunch of stuff done before then. So, and there's just been everything under the sun and a bunch of other when you're kind of in one of those stretches where you're just dealing with stuff that you don't want to do. It's not like the good stuff. It's just like, oh, this is like crap or minutia, like stuff that you don't want to be doing that's taking away from the stuff that you do want to be doing. Yeah, I got to get past that stuff, and then we'll be good. But hopefully I can report back next week that things have gotten a little bit better. But lead out news on the cycling front. I don't think there's much other than what Lance has already told us, but I don't think there's much going on in the world of cycling that we really need to report on. There wasn't much racing here locally, just some really small little offshoot cyclocross races, which I don't have any of that information.
It's kind of a quiet time of year.
It is a definitely quiet time of year.
I think it will be for the next couple of weeks, actually.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, but we'll definitely have stuff next week when Lance comes back to tell stories about the USA National Cross Championships.
Exactly. And then
should be fun.
Then we got to come up with something for lead out news between now and then. It's a quiet time in the endurance sports world, and me and Matt just can't sit here and talk about indoor track all day, or you guys will stop listening. So
yeah. Did you guys have any other news on your end? I think there was some triathlon-y stuff that happened this past week. Can you want to talk about that, Evan?
There was La Quinta 73 had down in California happened.
You made some predictions on that too, if I'm not mistaken, last week.
I did make some predictions.
And
spot on.
I was correct on that. Well, we both agreed on both of them, didn't we?
Yeah.
So first, locally, because there's some local news here too. Is
quick question.
Yeah.
Could I have gone to Las Vegas and bet on that?
That's a good. Can you bet on Ironman in Vegas?
You probably probably like the World Championships.
Kona, you probably could. I doubt if they have a line on North American 73 races. Yeah.
Well, they say that you can bet on just about anything, man.
If you can bet on dog shows, if you can bet on dog shows, I would hope you could bet on
the real
73.
money would have been like Ben Deal.
Oh yeah, you and me would have made good money off that.
Yeah, he had a good race.
He had a great race. So
tell us about the race
locally first. Okay. Lisa Worms qualifies for her World Championship slot, which is awesome.
Lisa.
She had one heck of a bike split. That's what got it for her was her bike split.
I think it's her strength. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. She biked right at the back end of the women's pro field, like basically even with those kind of times. Wow. So. Absolutely incredible performance from her. In the men's and women's field, I'll talk about the women's field first because there was an awesome result there. Paula Finley.
Oh yeah, Paula.
Who
local?
Yes,
kind of local.
Troutdale. Canadian, but lives out in Troutdale. Yep. She's dating Eric Lagerstrom, who was also there.
from those guys?
I went and picked it up from Paula and Eric. But so Paula, who is coming back from an injury, only been running for a couple months right now.
Right.
Just came back and tore apart the field at this race. She won by like
wire to wire. Led the whole thing.
Really?
Led the entire.
Wow.
Not even close.
Just
she was
swam away from the field, and that was that.
She ended up winning by I think it was like 8 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
Just it wasn't even a race at that point. So incredible performance from her, especially after a tough season of, end of season with injury.
Stress fracture or something? I can't remember what she had. But.
Something like that. I would need to look back at her. But yeah, they're pretty open about that in their videos. But she went 4:07 on that course, which is just absolutely flying for the women's field. And just won the race by 7.5 minutes. Just flying.
That's fast.
Now, the men's field, Lionel Sanders goes out.
Predicted.
Yeah. He wins. So we could have all agreed at that there was no if there was Vegas betting on that would have been you're making no money off that.
Yeah. Watch on that one, yeah.
So second place, Eric Lagerstrom. Awesome performance out of him. Coming out another
Troutdale.
Yeah. Troutdale native. We got
Troutdale's dominating.
Troutdale is really in this podcast today. Like I feel like
it's really Gresham, I think. But let's just go with Troutdale.
We're just gonna say Troutdale
because that's where treadmill.
We should do a podcast on all things Troutdale here. So
that would be a very short podcast.
That'd be a very short podcast. How many people on the team do we have from Troutdale?
I bet we have a lot.
I don't think we have any. They're all from Gresham.
Seriously?
Unless you want to lump those two things together.
I think
we're going to lump them together.
There you go.
Yeah.
We already are. I think we've already done that.
We're going to get some hate mail from Troutdale now.
Yes, we are.
Sorry, Eric and Paula. So in fourth place, though, this is a favorite of me and Matt's. He's somebody I met in the pro field this year at the racks. Somebody much faster than me, but was super nice and talked. Young guy, super excited to get into the sport, and just an awesome presence to be around. Ben Deal was fourth at this race. Now, this is a guy who he's had some top 10 performances, but really had not had a breakout
yet. Is
he
a decent swimmer?
I think that he is much more talented than the times that he's putting out in swimming.
Okay. So the swimming might come around.
I think the swimming will come around
and then
for him.
The bike was better.
The bike was originally when he got in much his weakness, and I think that he would admit that too. Is the bike what was holding him back?
So he's working on the bike.
And the bike got a lot better. He biked 209, which is awesome.
Yep.
He was in the race definitely on the bike. And then he threw down the second fastest run split at 1:12:39.
Yeah.
Which on that course, 1:12:39 is fast because that's not a fast course. That's fast. He's a guy who can run right there with Lionel Sanders. He basically put out the same time. Now, is Lionel at his peak fitness right now? Probably not. But Ben has clearly that weapon on the run, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
If Evan Price was in that race, how would have Evan Price done?
I would like to say I would have won, but I think realistically we'd be looking at second. No, I think to be honest, and I was of course doing this on while this race was going on. I was looking at Cassie and I was like, oh man, I would have done good. And she was getting mad at me and saying like, why? Like you would have been very stressed out. Your season would have then been almost 10 months long at that point. So I'm not going to.
Would have been
top 10.
Top 10 though, right? Like kind of in that range is what you're.
It's tough by course, but I've raced Elliot Szymanski before when we were both amateurs. He was 12th in this race.
Yeah.
He is a great cyclist and swimmer, but I'm a much faster runner than him historically. So he put down a 1:23. I think I could have ran very fast. I know my bike is strong right now. My swim is not strong enough for me to sit here and say I would have been top 10. So I think I would have been. Out of the 30 guys, I think I would have been top 20. So
I think you would have been top 10.
I would like to say that.
Safe to say, though, that you would have been top 30?
Yes. Yeah. Would have been top 30 guaranteed. That's one thing that I know for sure.
You got to finish, man.
Did the weather rebound down there? I know that they got some really cold weather that blew through there.
Yeah, I think the weather was okay. The water there, because it's this protected area, for whatever reason, the water that they swim in there is freezing this time of year. It's like the coldest water I think Ironman lets people swim in, basically.
I don't know what they're doing with that race. They need to like put some heaters in there and heat that water
They need
up.
to do something. But the locals, so they have to like clean the wetsuits before they get in. There's no practice swim. So that's the craziest part of that race. And me not being a strong swimmer, not a race I'd want to go to where you don't get to touch the water until you jump in there and go. Yeah.
And that makes it hard because
it's so cold.
You're jumping into an ice bath, and it's like you hurt for a while, and eventually you get used to it. But the first
throws your pacing and heart rate all the way off.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's relative to everybody, but still, just to have to go through that's a psychological like stunner, if you will. It's just like, I don't want to do this.
Exactly.
And Ben Deal's been talking about like getting used to the water and using ice baths and things like that to get used to it, get acclimated.
He was sticking his head in an ice bath or something like that.
Jeez.
Good for him. But yeah,
Who
that's
knows if it helps.
yeah. He did. I think he put up a video where he was doing that like every morning for a bit. He would fill up an ice bath and like stick his head into it just to get accustomed to, I don't know, at 7 a.m. each day being like.
All right. How about we move forward?
Yeah. Not a lot of lead out news there.
No.
We'll try.
We're going to have to get creative with the lead out news in the lack of racing season here
We'll come
coming
up
up.
with something. There's always something.
We're going to come something cool.
That's macro news.
There you go.
Our topic, December training. What you guys doing?
Oh, I got some strong
What
opinions
is going on with the
December
December training?
Yeah. Got hot takes and strong opinions.
Hot takes, strong opinions. I like it. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what we're all doing. Maybe some of the, take a look at some of the different disciplines out there in the world that we are involved in. Unfortunately, Lance isn't here today to really kind of inject some of this other stuff. So hopefully this doesn't get too heavy on the triathlon.
Because the three,
It's going all try.
the three of us here aren't racing. That's a funny thing. I mean, the one person here who is like Lance's December training is getting ready for a national championship. So
exactly.
very different than what
he
the
still
three of
hasn't
us
hit
are
his
doing.
off season yet. Exactly. And then I want to know what you guys are doing for the holidays. How are you going to structure to get through that? And then let's maybe toss out some tips for our listeners, some tips for success. So Evan, you've got hot takes.
Yeah.
Take
So when we talk about cycling, and I still to this day hear very good cyclists. I'll talk about cyclists in general. This does go towards the triathlon community a little bit, but I hear it mostly in the cycling world. That the winter months are for base mileage. And we've brought this up on this podcast before, is that I think that old adage is changing, but I still know guys that are all about, man, when I hit that December, January, February time period, I just put in a lot of zone 1-2 miles. Just miles, time in the saddle. I've really this off season for me going almost basically the exact opposite way. I'm going probably cutting off 20% of my volume I would typically be doing in season and putting in a ton of intensity, a lot of quality work and a lot of intensity.
This time of year. Okay. And let's put this out there too. Is it safe to assume that you've gone through like an active rest period, an active rest block, if you will, and you've really given your body some time to recover from the beat down that you put on it through the course of the season and all the racing?
Yeah, I finished this season, I know we talked about this before, on 3 races in 5 weeks. So right after that, as I talked about on here, basically through the end of September, I just trained when I felt like it.
Gotcha.
Just purely if I felt like going out. Started back up just doing what felt good in October, got structured in November, and now that I'm hitting December, I'm basically right on 18, 19 hours a week with strength training, maybe closer to 20.
So if you could give me like a mile high snapshot of like what your October looked like of just riding what felt good, what were you doing in that time period? What did it work out to? You didn't have structure. You weren't putting things on a weekly calendar and saying this is what I have to do on these particular days. But if you go back and take a look at it, what did that month kind of look like?
I started building some just consistency with after work runs and getting Zwift figured out mostly.
You did.
Really, it was just getting Zwift figured out and figuring out how to do intervals and work erg mode and ignoring swimming.
Yeah.
which I was basically in October scared of swimming.
I think
I
it's
didn't
kind of you're
want
still
to
in
swim.
that mode of like, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's not swimming.
Yeah.
It's not what it was.
I was doing a lot of plyometric work, literally all like kind of on my own, just like either it was throughout the day or on Mondays I would do plyometric workouts. I didn't get back into really a structured lifting program, but definitely a lot of stability strength work, which is a lot of what I do for my patients anyway. I just sort of was taking my own medicine there. And yeah, outside of that, I wasn't nearly as structured with my eating like I was in the season, which felt great. And
Lots of potato chips, huh?
Yeah, a lot of potato chips. And yeah, that was basically, so once I got done with October, and I'm not sure, I think I've brought this up on here before, I actually started in November. I'm now 6 or 7 weeks into this. Every Friday, I fast for 24 hours. So that's a dinner to dinner fast usually. And I started that in November just to see if I'd be able to sustain it. I think there are some benefits to doing that, and it's been pretty easy. Actually, the last 7 weeks has not been hard. So
good job, man. How about you, Matt?
I'd love to disagree with Evan as much as possible on this podcast.
Hot takes.
I can't because the idea of like big base miles in the wintertime. I'm sure it works for people, and I'm sure it's fantastic. I just feel like the winter, cold, rainy months are not the best for cycling. And when it's easier to put in high mileage in the summertime, I just say do it that way. Yeah. It's just so much nicer. Not that I don't think, and I don't think that people should completely turn off the bike like I have. But I do think from my perspective, it's a great time to do some Zwifting. Which really lends itself to like those structured workouts.
It does, yeah.
More quality, less quantity.
And so, as much as I hate to agree with Evan, I'll agree with Evan on that one. Additionally, as we talk to, a large portion of our audience are triathletes. Maybe all of them. We don't know.
Most of them come from collegiate track running
yes.
and got into triathlon and only picked up bikes due to that.
What I've usually, and you can maybe try to apply this to cycling in some weird ways, but, work on your weaknesses, work on things that are kind of easier to work on. And I almost always recommend a swim block to triathletes in the wintertime where you're swimming significantly more. And so that's for me kind of like the focus of December will still be getting healthy run-wise and putting in a decent amount of volume for the swim. So that's the plan.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the plan that way. And we've talked about this on this podcast. In addition to this, is like we've been doing Pilates.
Yes, sir.
And I think that wintertime is another time where you can do all these things. If you're not doing, these 6-hour long bike rides, and it's like, well, then you have to, you have time to do other stuff like spend time with your family or do some Pilates, do some of the stuff that we would kind of say. We know we need to work on, but
Pilates, yoga, strength training, plyometrics, agility, it's just the whole gamut, the cross training stuff that your body really needs.
So. It is good to get into those habits then when you have the time. Yeah. Cause a 6-hour ride is more than just a 6-hour ride. That's you're kind of mentally toast for an hour or two after a 6-hour ride.
Yeah. That
family time kind of goes by the wayside.
And you need to, you need to take care of your bike. There's just so much stuff to do within cycling. So
it's very rare for me to find a ride in the winter time. Even when I used to live in Southern California, when the weather was summer and summer light, that was 6 hours long. I do have those more in the summertime. If those are going to pop up, that's generally when they're going to pop up because I just don't want to be out riding for much more than like 2.5 to 3 hours when it's 42 degrees and raining. It's just it wears on my body. There's some people that are built for it just fine. My body, maybe it's just me getting older. Just like don't want to take much more of that. So but I think there's value there to doing the longer rides, but that for me, I would agree with you. That's not all I do. The intensity that I'm going to add in, it's not going to be nearly as structured, but it's going to be there. And it's not going to be nearly as intense as it would be come late January, early February, but it's still going to be there. I think that there's something to be said about keeping that in your schedule and really kind of ramping it up as well. And the long rides do pay dividends because when you get into the start of a season, for me, one of the big things that I have issues with is like the early season cramping. And I think for me, it's not necessarily, and in the past I've had problems with vitamin D deficiency and that can lead itself to cramping. I've had problems with hydration and electrolytes and that can lead to cramping. But for me, mostly if I don't get the neurological input from the longer rides or the intense rides that are actually outside in that cold weather and getting acclimated to that, that's how my body just reacts. So I do need to get out in the cold weather and I do need to do some interval stuff and I do need to have some longer stuff with longer sustained climbs with the subsequent coming downhill, if you will, the descending. And that's when you're kind of in that tucked position and you're not pedaling, the muscles start to shorten up. And it's like kind of coupling that with going right back into another climb and doing another descent. For me, that lends itself to cramping. If my body's not ready for that, I need to be doing those kinds of things in the winter time. So
you want to go climb some hills? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I'm going to have to. Yeah, I'm going to have to get out there and start doing that.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Going back to what Matt said too, I want to get you guys' opinion on this. When we talk about riding outside, this time of year, you can just be doing out there just any kind of stuff. But if you do go out and do some climbing, you're going to have like your sustained watts, and then you're going to have the decline or the descending. Why do I keep stumbling over that word?
The declining gradient.
Yeah, exactly. The descending. you're not going to be putting in near the same watts. And so, and you're going to have the coasting, and you're going to have the stoplights and the stop signs and all that stuff. So you're going to look at this power curve throughout the course of your ride, and it's going to be up and down and all over the place. And then if you take that cumulative ride and you want to look at the effect of like the training effect that you're going to get from it, from having those sustained watts, it's not going to be nearly as precise as, say, jumping on a trainer. When you get on a trainer, there's, especially if you're in erg mode, there's no reprieve. So like what I do in an hour is probably about what I would take for me to do like an hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes outside of just getting those steady watts.
Same training effect. Yeah.
So if I'm going to go ride the trainer for an hour and a half to 2 hours, I will liken that to doing like a 3-hour ride outside. And I think that there's a definite benefit to that.
Yeah.
So
I think especially when you're talking about, I mean, from a time trialing perspective, a triathlon perspective,
sure.
Like there's a ton of benefit as a cycling racer to be riding outside. I mean, like we've talked about that, and Jake just went through a lot of those reasons. But especially for us, there's a reason why a lot of your even pro triathletes spend 90-95% of their time on indoor.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and I wish I was better at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky that I like indoor riding. I'm fine with it. Now that I have a cross bike, I like outdoor riding actually a lot more now. But, but I really do like indoor riding, and I mean, for me, it's so much easier just for me to plug into a workout 3 hours. I don't have to think. I don't have to process anything. All you got to do is just, and on erg mode, good God, you don't even have to know the workout. No, you just sit there and
ride.
Just keep on turning the pedals.
Yeah, glance over from time to time to see what's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a workout that I've been doing basically every weekend of this offseason that I know is going to really build my Ironman engine. I just called it Steady Progressions, but all it is I go from 190 watts up to 270, back down, back up, back down, back up.
Yeah.
Right now I do it for about 3 hours, and I'm going to progress that out to a 5-hour workout over the next couple months. And I mean, the average comes out to about 230, 240, and
you're
it
just watching stuff.
Just watching stuff.
Watching YouTube.
And I don't even have to pay attention to when the interval's coming because
you're just like, this is starting to get a little harder. Starting to get a little harder.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the closer we get to 270, it's like, this is not comfortable anymore. And, you kind of got to sit in for a little bit.
Do you kind of like pause what you're watching and focus on working, or do you just...
I switch to music usually.
Okay.
I go from a video to music when it starts to get hard for about 10 minutes, and then it's back to some video.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. I am the same way. When I do a hard workout, I do music, and then if I'm like just chilling or whatever, video. Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of the same way. Yeah.
Music.
Yeah. It's funny you say that you're learning to love the indoor riding stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd asked me this 3 years ago, I would have laughed at you. It's like, there's no way anybody can love it. Yeah. And then last year, I didn't have any other options. So I kind of learned to love the fact that I could just get on the bike and ride, even though it wasn't my favorite. That was the only option I had. And that was kind of like my reprieve from life and this constant pain that I was having in my shoulder and the whole recovery process. So I learned to kind of appreciate it last year. And then this year, I'm so packed for time. Like my time is so like finite right now that I just don't have any other time. So I can schedule that in anywhere. I don't have to be thinking about like, all right, what's it going to be like weather wide outside? What route am I going to ride? And can I get somebody to come with me so I don't feel so scared about getting hit by a car?
Yep.
I'm a giant wussy when it comes to that right now. So it's kind of nice just to be able to go there. And that's kind of like my time. Granted, I still find myself returning texts and trying to get back to some emails, but that's when I plug into some stuff that I want to do, and I know that I'm going to have a good functional program. So it's kind of nice. It is definitely something that I recommend to folks.
And I think just, I mean, results on the road are, we all know a bunch of even road cyclists who do a ton of indoor training. And these guys, these guys and gals are strong. If you're able to plug into the consistency of an indoor program for a period of time. Yeah. I mean, I kind of always treat it, even in the off season, no matter what, on Saturdays, I'm going to ride outside. And that's kind of the reward for the week of still enjoying cycling and getting out there. But yeah, during the week at this point, it's, basically work.
How many days of the week are you biking?
I was just going to ask that
like
same question. Yeah.
Five right now, I think.
5?
Yeah.
So
somewhere around there, 5. Yeah.
Kind of 4 work weekday, or do you do Saturday, Sunday too? So
I ride Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday usually.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Usually, sometimes I'll sprinkle on a Thursday. It depends on the week. Yeah. Sometimes I'll skip a Monday if I'm really toast. But yeah.
So, what is your week going to look like this week, Matt? We're recording this on a Monday. We'll call this the first day of the week. Are you going to have a structured week this week, or is it still kind of a little haphazard?
Super unstructured for sure. Yeah. No. So I'll run 2 to 3 times per week. I'll bike about basically twice this week, 2 or 3 times, and then I'll swim 5 or 6.
You are in the pool a lot then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Evan? So it's Monday. What's your week going to look like for the rest of the week?
Probably going to be 5 swims. I'm kind of there with Matt. Once December hit, I was going to try and always get 5.
Swim a little more.
I'm gonna run. Oh, there's a chance I may be running every day. I'll probably run 6 days. That's what I've been running lately. Is about 6. The run fitness. I don't really take time away from running, to be completely honest. I have a little dip in volume, but mostly the running stays pretty consistent. And then on the bike, like I was saying, probably 4 or 5 days. 5 days, we'll say. Yeah,
Gotcha.
5 days.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Will your month change as the month goes on? Will you start to sharpen things up, or do you kind of like ride this wave until?
We're jumping ahead for sure, but we're all going to deal with holiday issues.
Yep.
And and then to jump ahead even further, strategies to take those on. I have these goals of just saying like, hey, trying to get one workout in per day, just something, and so that's it.
Yeah.
So they will be adjusted as December kind of moves forward, just because we have a ton of family coming into town. I have a ton of work to do, and so it's like already I've got 2 strikes against me, and I feel like where I am with my life right now, you have to make some sacrifices, and training right now is one of those sacrifices I'm willing to make. So,
gotcha.
It's tough. But
Yeah.
When is your first race going to be next year? 2020.
Not till March, probably. Although, I guess, so I would love to do Jack Frost time trials. That'll depend on making sure I have a time trial bike to do it on.
Sure.
So that may be my first race, but I think that's in March now.
Yep, second weekend of March.
And then towards the end of March, they have this race called the Spring Classic, which I enjoy doing. It's a flat duathlon, so it's a 5K, 20K, 5K, basically. So it's pretty reasonable, and I would like to do that one as well, assuming everything goes well.
When do things get really hot and heavy for you in your training?
For the training, really January 1st.
January 1st is when you kind of turn it on?
Oh, well, I have to. I have to. I'm already really out of shape and in a horrible place right now. And so it's just a matter of like, hey, do I want to try and ramp up stuff when I know the holidays are going to be? I mean, I should still go ahead and kind of make things a little bit more functional, kind of get into some more bike workouts and things like that. But I just know it's like, I know January 1st is going to be easier time-wise, just because family's going to leave the house. We're actually going to have quite a bit of family in our house. And then once everyone leaves, things get back to normal. Things get a little bit more structured. Yeah. And I think that's going to be prime time.
Gotcha.
And in fact, I want to do some stuff with the podcast and just be like, hey, listeners, join us in January for whatever we want to call it, like lose some weight, do some work, some sort of January 1st challenge.
Sure.
So
I'm in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Evan, I'm very curious to hear about your 2020. We've kind of touched on it a few times, but I've heard you say that you're going to do some gravel racing. I've heard you talk about possibly doing some road races, some time trials. You've got your pro calendar that you're going to have on there, and then you've talked about maybe doing some cyclocross racing. Like you've like thrown the kitchen sink at us in terms of like the stuff that you want to do. But realistically speaking,
what am I actually going to do?
What are you going to do, and when is it going to get started, and what are you going to focus on next year? And how does that play out now? It sounds like you've got a pretty good plan. And
I mean, you to be honest, the last couple of years I've had some decent success with just starting getting structured in November. And what I've kind of realized is when I was younger, I would, right when I get back into training, I would do these massive off-season blocks. Like I'd be training some crazy amount of hours a week. And I still joke with some of my friends who I raced with at that time that I think some of my best fitness I've ever had in my life was in like February.
You're like, I'm crushing February
races. just crushing the off season.
No races on the calendar.
I'll tell you what, if the if the North American Championship was February 2nd, I would have been right there.
Right in the mix. Right in the mix.
But nobody cares. And that's kind of what I had to realize was like, if you actually want to race fast, I had to take away that training hero and mentality.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been since November, it's just been about consistency. And it's just going to continue to be about consistency in a very slow build. I mean, right now, for instance, this last week, I rode 9 hours, ran 50 miles, and swam 10K. Those numbers are going to slowly build through
They're not
February.
bad. Those are good numbers.
No,
I mean,
they're fine. Yeah.
You know what's really different about your training this year is that gravel bike stuff.
Oh, it's awesome.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that as a major difference.
Yeah.
I think you've neglected the swim.
I definitely have.
But I don't
think
think
you're 100% neglected the swim.
But I don't think your swim is bad.
No.
Swimming is one of those things where you can do that. And I think biking is a little bit like this, where it's like you can kind of ignore it for a while and still be okay.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't. It depends on what you're doing in your biking stuff. Like if I ignore my biking for a month, Like, not
Yeah.
saying that I'm not riding, but if I just like get unstructured and I just go ride like less and do nothing, that's going to have a pretty
Takes a while
dramatic
to build
effect
back.
on me.
Yeah.
But
I think it affects your high end. And
But
I think
it's
Exactly. There you
different
go.
for the triathlon world when
Exactly.
we're talking about
Yeah.
like only a couple races. So like for me, basically, January, I've said this on here before, and I'm going to continue to say it because I'm going to have to hold myself accountable, is I'm planning on swimming every day of January.
yeah.
wow.
That's kind of my like New Year's resolution, which is fine that's, the New Year's resolution.
January 1st, you can swim a 5K with me if you want.
Cool.
That's
yeah.
that's a big day.
I might as well start it out that
Start
way.
it off with a bang.
Yeah. Might as well start it out with a longer swim.
That's kind of this like thing that I do every year.
Nice.
So I got
Okay.
a shoulder.
I will be jumping in with you then. But yeah, that'll be the start of my January, and the biking and running is fine. Like it's continued to progress, and I'm fit there. So I just have to stay consistent. And my season is really going to start. I mean, I am out of right as of right now. I'm out of town the weekend of the Vancouver Lake Half Marathon,
Which would have been nice.
which
Yeah.
is to be honest, a complete bummer for me.
That you just said, if I'm not mistaken, that you're really going to spotlight that as one of your big
Yes.
races for
Well,
2020.
Last podcast, he mentioned that one as one of the ones that he had a really good
Exactly.
race.
Yeah.
So
but that's-
just to be complete though, I have a work requirement that I am desperately trying to get out of because I would so much not want to be in Tampa, Florida that weekend. I want to be here in the cold racing that half marathon for the life of me. Like it really bothers me this year that I
it's
won't
not
be
that
there.
big. It's not that big of a deal.
I know at the end of the day it isn't, but that race is a happy place for me, and I really did want to go close to 110 this year. So we'll see.
It's weird that they would have a work stuff on a weekend. I wonder if there's a race in Tampa you could do.
I have no idea. Yeah, I could look up to see if there's a half marathon. there.
Hot compared to what you're used
Oh,
to.
just
You would
skip the class assignments we have to be doing there and just
Mm.
get in and be like,
what-
sorry, I got a race.
What races will we see on your calendar in 2020?
So I have looked at starting the season out with Galveston again, just like I did last year, that 73, because I want a course I can go under 4 hours on, which would be that
when
course.
is the time frame in that one? Is that in April?
That I believe is the first weekend in April.
First
I'd
weekend in
have to
April.
look it up
Okay.
again. Yeah, but then the Yamhill is the last weekend in April,
yeah.
correct?
Yep. Yeah, I'm Hill Gravel Grinder.
Unless I have a life of the thing is I think I have a couple weddings that are coming up in that springtime period, so I gotta look at those. But right now it's Galveston 73 and Yamhill would be the two that I want to do in April.
Mm-hmm.
Road race wise, I want to grab a road race in March, just probably one or two. 'Cause
I think
that's
all you're
when
looking at for that
Piece of
month would
Cake.
be Piece of Cake would probably be the one that you want to go do.
Yeah.
Dirty Circles, if you're going to pass on one of those two, I would definitely pass on Dirty Circles.
Dirty Circles, gotcha.
Yeah, but Piece of Cake would be fun for you.
Yeah. And then after that, basically a big sort of training racing block going from Victoria 73, which is the last weekend in May, and then Coeur d'Alene 73, which is the last weekend in June.
Mm-hmm.
Really consistent training through there, mostly triathlon focused. And then we're going to hit Cassie's full Ironman, which is going to be in Santa Rosa. I won't be racing that, but I'll be going.
Sherpa. You'll
Yeah,
be
I
carrying
will
all
be
the stuff.
Sherpaing, and then my Ironman will be Ironman Canada at the end of August.
Gotcha.
So what are you going to do June, July?
You do the
I-
local stuff?
I may do well. I'm going to be at the local races. That is for sure. I'm going to be there supporting people. I may race. Just make them training day races. Yeah. I'm probably going to need. I'm going to be training tons of intensity through
You
that
should
time
do
period
Pat
too.
Crest or Coeur d'Alene half. One of those kind of
Coeur
halves.
d'Alene half. I will be racing. Yeah.
Yeah, you need something in that time frame.
Yep.
So,
But
that'll
yeah.
be a perfect build for the full.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of slow increase in volume during that time, which is why I'm not too.
And you don't have to peak for some of these
No.
things. You can just cruise right through them.
There's basically going to be one peak this year. That's how I'm building my training. Is there's going to be only one peak.
So let's say that you get through all of this unscathed.
Yeah.
Will we see you on your cross bike
Oh, I
lining up,
should,
pitting
yeah.
on a number for a cross race in September?
Unless something bad happens, yeah, absolutely. I have a cross bike now. I'm going to be out there getting my butt absolutely handed to me. But yeah,
Any triathlons into the fall or next winter or any of
maybe
that stuff?
Santa Cruz.
No,
again
it's gonna be
to
too
end the
busy with
season.
cross.
Yeah, that's.
Because you like that one. That was one of the ones you mentioned.
I
Santa
like
Cruz.
Santa
That's true.
Cruz, but October I would be doing cross then. Instead of doing the slow ramp back up into training like I usually do, I would just race cross for fun now. And
I think you'd
Have
have
that.
fun with that, especially
yeah.
just the early season stuff. You could go do the cross crusade, but that's kind of like if you get into it and you end up having to do all 8 or 9 races, however many races it is, that kind of grinds on you a little bit. But
Yeah.
that early season, that GP series, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
David Douglas isn't my most favorite race, but the races after that, they're a blast, and I think that you would have a really good time out there doing that.
That's kind of I'm looking at it. Was the Dave Douglas and GP were the ones that Lance had mentioned to me would be kind of just the fun ones to get into and do. So
and then Matt will see you having all kinds of fun, and he'll come out and join you and get back on a cross bike, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
You can count on it.
It's one of the only bikes he has right now, so he has to, right?
Well, that is
Like, how many what bikes do you have? I got a cross bike that I hate cross. You know?
Well, technically, you have like almost 2 Trek bikes now because it's split into 2 pieces, so it's kind of like 2 bikes.
Kind of like 2
but,
bikes. Yeah. I'm just gonna ride the aero bar part.
We'll just make sure you don't put any pressure on the handlebars there. Yeah.
Supplemental stuff. What do you guys have going on supplementally speaking in the month of December?
Well,
you personally?
We've obviously talked about Pilates.
Yes.
And I think that's good for us. I think that, you're going pretty regular. You're like all in on Pilates.
I have to be. I have to do something different. And
I think it's good.
It's helping me, but at the same time, I'm hurting right now. And I don't think it was from Pilates. It's just the course of this weekend. When I got out on the bike for that ugly Christmas sweater ride, my shoulder hurt the entire time. And then yesterday, it hurt. And this morning, it hurts. It's like, it's just not happy. It's not from Pilates. It's something else that I did. I don't even know what it was. It's just the stupidest little things get me. But I need to be doing something because my body's not plateaued, but it's just, it needs extra special attention, and I need to have somebody else help me to get it. I need an extra set of eyeballs on me, and I'm enjoying Pilates. Everything else, like you come out of that and like your hips are like fully engaged and loose and strong, and like it hurts while you do it. We're crying just a little bit through that, and I'm really enjoying like going through those movements and focusing on the small movements that I know are going to pay dividends when I get back onto the bike. So having something like that is going to be good. I just need my shoulder to freaking quit it. I'm biting my tongue right now, trying not to throw explicatives at it. But so how are you liking it, Matt? Yeah,
no, I'm really enjoying it. I just like how easy it is to kind of hop in, do a round, and it doesn't I don't feel like I'm super sore afterwards. Like, it's not like you go and you what you would like climb hills for 4 hours on a bike. Like, you are going to be beat from something like that. This is totally different. This is like, oh, you're isolating a specific muscle and you're working it, and you're like, oh, that hurts. Like, that's but you're not wiped afterwards.
Yeah, you don't get into a lot of the prime movers. You use them, but you're really focusing on a lot of those smaller synergistic muscles that are working like ancillary to everything. It's nice, and it's really a lot of postural stuff. It's a lot of like core stability. It's a lot of good strength through ranges of motion that you're not used to going through. So
and it's I don't consider it like I should consider it like a workout for the day, but I don't. I don't consider that as having done a workout.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll do that, and then I could go directly to the pool and swim, and that would be the workout, or whatever it is, like do some sort of workout prior to that, and then go there. And so in some ways, it's great that it's like you do this thing, and it's going to be helpful for us to kind of have stronger core, stronger some of these little intrinsic muscles and things like that. But it isn't that like I did this, and so cross that off the list. I'm done. I don't have to work out today, because it doesn't feel like that to me.
Yeah. It kind of primes you for the rest of the day, which is great.
It's good.
Yeah.
And you can still go do like a full like strength training program if you want to get into like a multi-joint like explosive workout. You can still add that into your day and be just fine.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I was going to mention was I've kind of neglected weights and things like that. But I think I'm at the point now where I can get in positions and things like that and actually lift weights. In particular, I had a hard time with squats because the bar, having that on my shoulder was really tricky. But I can get around that with some other things, and I can get in the weight room and do some stuff. And so I've gone to the weight room really only like once per week for the past couple weeks. I'd like to make that 2 or 3 times per week.
Sure.
Because I get a different type of soreness from that, which I think is probably really helpful for me. Again, I'm not lifting heavy weights, but I can get to the point where I can get sore, and it doesn't take that much time for me. I can do it right after a swim. It takes me like 20 minutes, and I can get kind of what I need. So,
how about you, Evan?
Honestly, I mean, outside the stuff I mentioned earlier, which is a lot of
talking about doing those drills.
Drills and plyometrics, and a lot of the stability.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what are you doing for plyometrics?
So for example, I'll just use, I'll use one of the funnier ones I did recently after work, and I did this a couple weeks in a row in October. I would do a 400 on the treadmill. So pretty fast pace, whatever the miles per hour didn't even matter, just to get the heart rate really up. jump off of it, grab 2 weights, and I would do what I call my bouncing drills, which are progressive bouncing drills, which is like, imagine skipping and you increase the height as you go, And then I would drop those and I would go over to one of our boxes that we have. My vertical is pathetically low, so it was generally the 24-inch box.
You do some box jumps.
I would do some box jumps, and for this set that I was doing at that time was 10 box jumps, and then I would get off the box and I'd pick up the box, which is an awkwardly big object, and carry it around the room on my toes for a bit, and then put it back down, go back on the treadmill for the 400, and I'd repeat that circuit.
How many times would you go through?
I think at my peak I was doing that 5 times, but when I used to do strength training like that, back when I was younger, it was usually like 10 sets of that.
Okay.
It was just like imagine fixing a track workout into your plyometrics with some just brute strength training. So,
which I didn't do a lot of growing up.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have heard the word plyometrics
come out of my mouth probably a lot.
Well, and it's something that I've utilized for half my adult life. You want to explain to people what plyometrics is, so that those that don't know what it is?
Yeah, just the pure definition of a plyometric is actually something that can be kind of debated, but at the end of the day, it's basically. So imagine if I'm lifting 150 pounds slow and controlled, like we generally talk about whenever you're doing a bench press, a squat, deadlift, what have you. A plyometric would be taking some form of resistance and you are exploding against that quickly or just your own body weight. So skipping, vertical leap, box jumps, bounding, triple single leg jump is a great example. Cutting would be another plyometric. Think of it as a timing exercise. So it's, if I'm going to do something, I'm doing it as quickly as I can, and then I'm going to the next movement very quickly too.
Yep.
So it's a quick change of pace. The main reason I use it is, and this is going really down a physical therapy hole here, but when we talk about tendon health in aerobic athletes, let's just talk about runners for a second. We can talk about cyclists and swimmers all day too, because there are plyometrics for swimmers, absolutely, that I utilize. But for runners, you're talking about you would think like, oh, if you're a powerful runner, why don't these guys have big muscles? Yep. Like if I'm just somebody who's completely uneducated on running, you're like, why would a guy who deadlifts 450 pounds be a slow runner? Which is true. I mean, you take an Olympic weightlifter and have them run against your casual 5K'er. I'm going to put my money on the casual 5K'er every single time.
Yep.
Now, why that is because tendons response, the quickness of that contraction when your foot hits the ground, is way more important than the actual muscular strength that's basically put through there. You're talking about basically a rubber band effect. So if, for instance, I'm a 4-foot striker, so is Matt, I believe. Are you a 4-foot striker? Yeah. Primarily, probably midfoot, 4-foot. When our foot strikes the ground, there is a response time that comes from our Achilles to then lift that heel back up on the ground and propel yourself forward.
Right.
If you can shorten and make that time more efficient, and in sense more powerful, because what's the power equation? There's also time involved. It's force and time. Mm-hmm. So if you can increase your time, decrease your weight resistance, and be still a powerful athlete. I'm not saying I run strength classes. I'm not saying take away the strength component, but I'm saying that time component is a really neglected portion of that. Mm-hmm. If you can improve all of those facets and not just the power, not just the strength training, you create a faster runner basically. Mm-hmm. So that's where plyometrics are really important, is when you talk about taking care of your muscles with strength training, you also have to take care of your tendon complexes and your brain to, motor pattern connection. Yeah, which is, I mean, running fast is not something that you just wake up and learn one day. Your brain has to go through that pattern over and over again. And those tendons have to be exposed to that pattern over and over again. So,
good old myotatic stretch reflex.
Exactly. Yep. Proprioception's huge, people.
Yes.
Work on your balance. Yep.
Big dividends there. Matt, do you do any plyometrics?
Not really, and I should.
This time we've been talking. Actually, last night we were talking about this.
We were talking about, potentially having some classes and things like that that would help. And so I don't do a lot of it. It's definitely something, and I haven't done a lot of it in the past either. I always tell people, like, if you want to get faster at running, go run. And so in some ways, like, anytime you're exposing your body to some of the motor patterns that you need to do, you're doing what you need to do. So
sure.
Yeah. But, I think for me, because I've had a lot of Achilles issues and things like that, I might be able to gradually increase some of the I'd say some of the pressure and power that's needed through the Achilles tendon area with some plyometrics that I think could be hugely helpful.
Yep.
So
Good.
Yep.
So besides plyometrics and the strength training that you talked about and all of the other work that you do in swim, bike, and run, do you get any dirty little secrets that you want to share with anybody here that you not I'll call them dirty just as a joke, but any little secrets that you want to share with people that
oh God,
they maybe could look into?
You know, to be completely honest, I think what I've realized in the last 2 years, which is really important, and I know both people sitting at this table already know this, but I think a lot of people I talk to about triathlon don't understand this, is with a sport like triathlon that can be all-encompassing, you need to have something else that you can pour yourself into. And because if you only have triathlon that you're passionate about, that can become a really dangerous game, I think, long-term. When we're talking about longevity and consistency, the only dirty secret is just being able to stay consistent, which sounds super easy. Like Jake riding 8 hours a week on the bike. That's not as easy as Jake just riding 8 hours a week on the bike. That means he's got to reframe some of his life. He's got to get through those days when he doesn't want to get on the bike for all that it's worth. He doesn't want to get on the bike. You still have to find a way to stay consistent. And for me, that is making sure that triathlon's not the be-all, end-all of everything. Because when it's the be-all, end-all, you're going to get really disappointed in yourself when you're not on your A game.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous sort of mental game to play. So
I wonder if a lot of pros have a hard time handling
they
that.
do. There's a lot of, you talk to any of these pros who have been in the game for a bit, you think these are confident, well-built superhumans. Like that's how I remember being that age grouper thinking these guys are incredible, like absolutely incredible. You have talks with some of them, and especially as I've realized some of the younger triathletes,
Right.
wildly insecure, very nervous, apprehensive people sometimes, which is fine. They're human, just like anybody else. But that's when I look at the pros that I really admire and I think are great, they're generally the guys who have a lot else going on in their life too. The Jesse Thomases of the group, the Andrew Starkwitzes, the Clay MGs is another like great age grouper example who's dabbled in the pro field and done very well in the pro field too. But you've got to have something else in your life that takes your passion and attention, and not like just a job. You have something that's like you're passionate about that has nothing to do with triathlon. So I think that's the one like dirty secret that I probably should have taught myself.
Pour all of your self-worth into that.
Yep.
Have other things that you're tied into that can show some balance in your life, so that you're not devastated when things don't quite go your way.
Exactly.
I can hear what you're saying there.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you talk about injuries.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is when that injury
wasn't
hits.
some super pro like Cat 1 guy. I mean, I made it to Cat 2 in the road. I thought that was a pretty good accomplishment, and I had a couple good results like before I got hit by the car. But I'm getting older, and I was still able to hang in. And you kind of have this like thing built up about yourself, like you have a certain level that you want to maintain and achieve. And then all of a sudden you're taken all the way back down to like remedial levels, and you're just trying to learn how to ride a bike again, or learn how to just be able to sit on a bike for a short period of time. It's really hard. And if I had put all my self-worth in that, I mean, I could see myself being on a really slippery slope of like serious depression, because that got taken away from me. And between us sitting here at the table and anybody listen, I don't know if I'll ever get that back again. I don't know if I'll ever be as strong as I was. And I was talking with somebody about this over the weekend. Before I got hit by the car, that was probably one of the times in my whole life that I was stronger than I'd ever been before. And it was all taken away from me. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever get back there. I'll try. I'm not going to give up. But I've got other things that I'm passionate about, and that's not like my self-worth isn't tied to being able to race at that Cat 2 road level.
Yep.
And there's other disciplines I can go out and try, and I can go out and be competitive with them, not at the elite level there, but if I was in that was everything that I was about, I would be devastated right now. But
absolutely.
So sorry.
Absolutely. I think that's the one dirty secret. Just find something else to do outside of just endurance sports.
Matt, you've had a lot of experience. Do you have any little secrets?
This is going to be controversial. People aren't going to like this one, but
I like it. Go.
For this holiday season and things like that, I might have mentioned this just briefly before, but consider just like not skipping a day. Like look at your schedule. Talk to your wife, talk to your husband, and just say, I'm not going to miss a day through this holiday season. I'm gonna bike on Christmas Day or whatever it is, and this doesn't mean that you need to miss like for me, it's like I have kids at a certain age that
miss the opening of presents.
Right. But like, I want to be there when the kids come down, and
yeah, absolutely.
But that doesn't mean that I can't sneak out for a 3-mile run.
There's always a lull in the day. Yeah.
There's a slight lull in the day.
You have an hour in that day that nobody's going to remember.
And I'm not even saying that I'm going to accomplish this goal, but like, I think if you set your mind out to do it, you'll probably be successful. You'll probably be able to do it, and then you're just going to say, whoa, okay, it was a stupid little thing, and I made it these past, whatever it is you want to call it, 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it is, this Christmas, and New Year's little holiday bit here. If you tell yourself you're not going to miss a day, you won't.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how many less like family crimes would happen during the holiday season? Like you guys ever talk to cops about like the holiday season? Oh, it's terrible. There's like family on family crime all the time. Could you imagine how much less of that would happen if just like 1 hour each day was like, all right, everybody, shut up. Nobody talk to each other. Go and exercise for 1 hour. We regroup at 4.
Come back with that endorphin rush, yeah.
Regroup at 4 so that we're not all hating each other right now.
A couple tips that I would throw out there for the listeners. For this time of year, it can be kind of tough. I mean, I don't want to tell people don't like indulge, don't like have some holiday treats or, have the big dinners and all that other stuff. But like Matt said, you can find time. But what I would suggest is maybe getting into like that calorie counting mode, or that using the MyFitnessPal is the one I always recommend to everybody, and a lot of people are familiar with that. If you track your calories and you get into the habit of tracking them, and you know what things or how things actually start to add up, and you look at how quickly, like, oh my gosh, that could have been like a 4,000 calorie day, and thankfully I was using this and I kept it more at like 2,500 calories, or maybe like, oh crap, it was a 4,000 calorie day, now I need to go out and run for an hour or ride for an hour or do something just to kind of burn off 600, 700, 800 calories to get back into that happy zone. Consider using that, and consider getting started on it now, as opposed to January 1st, or even like December 22nd, when you're not going to be like making it a habit yet. You got to be consistent about doing it. Everything, you got to create that routine and that habit every single day. Think about doing that now, so that you don't come out the backside like, crap.
What's the name of the app you like?
MyFitnessPal.
And you like it?
Oh yeah, I think it's great. It's got a massive database. It's really easy.
I've got a ton of patients. I use MyFitnessPal too. It seems to work great.
It's very intuitive, and as soon as you start plugging stuff in, you're going to find that you're kind of a creature of habit, and you're going to have like this. Your stuff is just going to be there, and it makes it really easy, because if you have like the same thing every single day, it's really easy just to open an app, hit that, hit enter, and it's done. I mean, it literally will take you less than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to use that. So
this is where being the one person without kids at the table, like I think some of my biggest training blocks I've actually had in my life have been over like the holidays.
Yeah.
Usually, because I have a very small family. When I go back to Ohio, like it's a really, really small family get together, and like my mom I know is going to be working out a ton. Yeah. My dad's going to be riding as much as he can.
I always battled with my parents where they would be like, "You're going to go run on Christmas," and I'm like,
absolutely.
Don't mess with me. or
yes,
they're
I
like,
will be.
or they'd be like, we're gonna drive down to such and such and go do some, whatever travels. And I would be like, okay, what time are we leaving? They're like, 7 a.m. I'll be like, okay, I have to get up at 5 then.
Yep,
and it's like they didn't like it.
Yeah.
But like they knew that was part of the deal.
Part of who you are, yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a struggle. And so I don't necessarily think that it's having kids in particular, because when you have kids, you're in charge, sort of. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
If you're married, then you're not in charge. But usually you can kind of say like, all right, we'll do this.
And like your wife is also a runner, so
yeah, that helps. That helps a lot. Yeah.
You thought you were running, Matt? No, I'm running.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
the kids.
We will trade off.
It's just arguing as to who gets to go first, basically.
Exactly. That's how that works.
Another tip is, there's communities of people that go out and do this kind of stuff at that time of year. There's little rides and runs and swims that you'll find. Like Matt does his thing every year on New Year's. I mean, you can go plug in with somebody, Matt. But something in particular that I like, that I think works out pretty well.
Are we gonna do some like weird like 50 by 100 set or something like that?
No.
Oh, thank God.
5K.
Okay,
it's
good.
5K straight. It's
wait, seriously?
It's way worse.
God.
It's way worse than what you're hoping for.
I take a breathers for water. That's for sure.
So one thing that I do like is on Strava, they've got the festive 500.
Oh, yeah.
So it's 500 kilometers, and it's from New Year's Eve until Christmas Eve. So I think it was a 7-day block. Is it 7? Is that 7 days from that time to that time? Yeah. So you've got 7 days to ride basically 300. I think it's
has to
like
be outside
320
too,
or something like that. And it has to be outside. Yeah.
This is where I'm going to fail it. I'm not going to get it done.
I've done that a few times, and it's actually a lot of fun. And the last time I did it, I actually finished 2 days early. So it really drives you to go outside and get those miles in.
Lance was saying that he was going to do that last podcast, wasn't he?
Yeah, he said
he was going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So,
good.
last year couldn't do it just because I wasn't ready. The year before that, I was going to do it. I was all queued up, and it friggin' snowed like a banshee for like 3 or 4 days straight, like through Christmas. And we had a white Christmas that year. And I'm like, I just can't ride my road bike out, and this is not worth going down. So I missed it the last 2 years. So I want to try.
Grab the mountain bike for a 90-miler on the mountain bike.
Shoulda, coulda, would. I could have just been doing laps on Heritage Trail, right?
Oh God!
Out and back and out and back.
Out and back. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past you.
But I wouldn't mind trying to do that this year and putting that on the schedule. And it's kind of fun because when you say I'm going to do this, like, and you make it publicly known you got this goal, all of a sudden you'll get people like, "Hey, I'll do that with you." And now misery loves company, right? If it's crappy weather, they're going to go ride with you, and all of a sudden it just got to be fun.
You do a lot of flat stuff, just kind of go out towards Vancouver Lake.
Yeah, I try and make it flat. There's no elevation that needs to be a part of this. So yeah, it's out to Vancouver Lake or Marine Drive out to Troutdale.
Let's bring Troutdale back into it.
There we go. Bring it back to our main topic today.
From where I live to ride out to the very end of Vancouver Lake to the Frenchman's Bar area and back, it's 50 miles.
We've done that so many times.
Oh yeah.
It's a good ride actually, and that's it's theoretically less traffic and less stoplights and stuff. So
that's something that I would recommend that people do, is put something like that on your schedule and tell others that you're going to do it and have them join you. You guys got any other tips or tricks?
Tips or tricks? Pick a KOM this offseason that you want to go
Ooh,
get.
that's fun.
I've got a couple of those that I'm really eyeing. One particularly is the man sitting across the table from me, Lake Road. I need to get that before the start of this next season. So I've got till
bring it.
I've got till April. I've got to get that KOM.
Oh, trust me, if you take it,
I've been saying it for a year and a half now.
I will focus all of my energy and effort away from racing and put it back on to getting that back from you.
For anybody who doesn't know, what is that, like a 4% 3-minute effort roughly?
Something like that.
4% climb, 3-minute effort.
It's only 3 minutes for you guys.
Something in that
takes
range.
me like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's something like that. Maybe 2, maybe.
I know.
Maybe 3.
I'd have to go back and look. I want to say I was like 20, 21, 22 miles an hour on that. Going up that.
Going uphill at 21 miles
an hour.
It
was a lot of watts, and I felt good that day.
It's like
so
514. I actually know how many watts you put out for that. 514.
514.
This is like my white whale is that climb. It's so not my strength. Like a 4% 3-minute effort is not my wheelhouse, and I need to get it from Jake so badly.
A couple other things for people this time of year. Don't forget to schedule your rest blocks. Your body needs that. And if you're coming off of a season, so Lance is not here today, so he'll probably end up listening to this.
Pick on Lance.
Let's pick on Lance.
This is mostly
just
here. A topic for Lance, yeah.
You need active recovery. You need the ability to let your body recover from a long season. And if you've done a ton of cyclocross racing, you probably shouldn't be laying down big things of anything right now. You should be just out having fun and enjoying yourself and listening to your body.
What are the odds that Lance is going to rest? 1 in a million?
Slim and none.
I think he's going to end up... I bet he's going to end up going inside on Zwift for a bit and then get addicted to Zwift.
But he's also going to Orlando to see his daughters for Christmas.
Right,
so I think, he's going to drive. He'll take his bike and he'll probably explore a little bit. But
Orlando's riding is terrible, though.
But no, he's driving out to Orlando again.
Yeah.
He has the option to fly out there. Nope, he's going to get in the adventure van. He's going to drive out there with Brandy and Piper the Wonder Pup and throw all of his bikes back there.
I mean, most of that drive is awful. Like, some of it's awesome. Most of that drive is not awesome.
Alabama, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Is he going to have to drive through Arkansas? Yeah. The least interesting state in America? I assume nobody from Arkansas is listening to this right now. Oh, God. I just made a bold claim. Yeah. If you're listening from Arkansas,
But going back to the rest blocks, coming off your season, active rest there, and then once you actually get back into the training of things, don't all of a sudden go 12 weeks and you didn't take any recovery block in there or any rest block. Let your body kind of you have to watch that fitness and freshness curve, make sure that you're doing all the right things. Real quick to you guys, though, how often are you usually taking a rest block?
Well, I mean... Right now, my stuff is so unstructured, but typically you do like 3 weeks on and 1 week easy. That's
okay.
I mean, you could do more. You might do more actually, Evan. Do you do 4?
I usually just go by feel.
4 or 5?
I like to say I'm pretty in tune right when I need one. So usually it ends up at that 4, 5, 6. Usually week build, and then I need just like a day or two where it's pretty easy, and then it's back into that cycle.
Just a day or two, huh?
But I mean, that's like usually how I do it, and it's purely by feel. Like it really is. Like if the numbers are still there and I still feel good, I just keep on clicking along.
Yeah, for me, off season it's usually 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and then it's anywhere from 3 or 4 days on the skinny side up to as much as like 7 days, and it's kind of like you get into that. All right, it's going to be at least we'll say 4 days. And then I start to listen to my body. If I go get back on the bike and it's like, you can't get your heart rate up or your legs are still feeling dead or whatnot, let's take another day. And then if it's still feeling that way after 7 days, it's like, sorry, body, we're going back into this whether you like it or not. So,
exactly.
And like I said, it's usually, 5-6 weeks. When we
Yeah.
get into race season, though, that can be as little as like 2 to 3 or even 4
depends on when
weeks.
the tapers need to fall.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and how things are setting up for
Yeah.
a race, because you never want to take a rest week before a big race
Yeah.
because you're going to come out of it feeling like a big
Yeah.
giant dog turd.
Yeah.
So-
And this is why I think during the off season for me, I'm much more focused on consistency. So whatever training load I can do week after week after week after week without feeling like I'm wearing myself down is really the more important thing to me. Is like,
Sure.
can I slow, even if it's just I'm building miles by like 2-3 run miles a week slowly over time, like it's got to be something that I feel is right in the wheelhouse, and you're not stretching at any point in that off season.
And it's a good time of year too to start looking at your sleeping patterns, like how much you're sleeping. If you're using like a Whoop strap, or if you're using like the a lot of the Garmin watches these days will give you all of your sleep metrics, and you can kind of look in there and see like, all right, how much sleep did I get? How much light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep did I get? And you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that stuff, because that's where a lot of the rehab actually happens. The recovery happens. So paying attention to that kind of stuff is kind of important, if you ask me. So and then just make sure that you kind of reverse engineer your race calendar to where you're at now, so that you can figure out where to start placing all this stuff. And once you start doing all this and you start putting everything on a calendar, and you're getting a really good idea of the landscape of what your training block is going to look like, or your training blocks for the year, it becomes a lot easier, and you start to become much more accountable to it. If you don't do that, you're just basically a ship in the water without a rudder. You need to have some direction in your training. So now's the time to get that done, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Anything else you guys want to add to this?
No, I think that's pretty
solid.
all encompassing. We will be talking about it a lot this winter.
Yeah, that's true. We always talk about all of these things in addition to a whole bunch more things definitely to come on the podcast. So.
Yeah, we've got a few things already lined up for the rest of the podcast for the month of December, but in January, I think we'll get into some goal setting, and we can kind of lay this over, mask it over the goal setting, so that we can help ourselves be accountable, and maybe help some other people.
And then do we think our 100th episode is going to be sometime in February?
January.
It's going to be in January?
January. Yep, it's in January.
Yep.
Okay.
It's coming up.
And I think I've got it set up to be at Hub.
No way, really?
Yeah, and I think they're going to be back on board with us in 2020.
Oh, my gosh.
That's big.
Been working on that
That's
with them.
the best news I've heard all day.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So, pretty excited about that. But we will have more of this stuff to talk about in January. But the weeks to come are going to be fun. So getting into the holidays is going to be a good time. Let's jump into one last thing. Evan, what you got?
All right, so Troutdale, Oregon was founded in, I believe, 1907 is when they say it was incorporated. Currently, the mayor is Casey Ryan, and it is a city in Multnomah County. Now, I'm not going to go much further with this, because I know you guys think I'm just going to read off facts, but the population in 2010 was 15,962. That's got to be higher. I think it's closer to 20,000 now, right?
Maybe.
I don't know.
It has to be.
I don't know if it's that much. I don't know if it's doubled in the last 9 years,
It's the
but it's got
gateway to the gorge.
Exactly.
It is the gateway to the gorge.
Yes.
Yes.
What they are famous for?
Its elevation sits roughly between 30 and 200 feet, basically right on the river.
Yeah, it's on the river
Yep.
until you climb out of the river.
That's a neat little town, too. When you come under that gateway to the gorge sign, it's just a neat little...
It's a cool downtown.
Yeah.
It is. And its area code is 503 and 971. There you go.
It's so random.
This podcast brought to you by Troutdale, Oregon.
Troutdale. Visit Troutdale.
Checks in the mail, Evan. Matt, one last thing.
Okay, so after this, I'm going to go swim with Evan. I'm going to make him wear an ankle strap to do some swimming drills.
Seriously?
And
Good.
yeah,
we need to do
brought-
something fun
and
because I'm feeling tired.
And
so.
guess what? You get to keep it because I made a couple extra in the last YouTube video that I made.
Nice.
Where
Ankle strap. What?
So it's interesting, not for you, but it's interesting. If you put a strap around your ankle and you swim, there's a couple different things you can do. There's one where you just use like a pull buoy between your legs and it keeps you from kicking. So you're really just focusing on upper body.
Sure.
But what I actually find more interesting is ditching the pull buoy and swimming just with your upper body, and your legs will dip and you'll really have to engage your core to basically bring your body up in level with the water, like the way you're supposed to swim. And it's a drill that's actually pretty helpful. The other thing that'll help you with is if you have any dead spots in your stroke, any pauses in your stroke, you will sink unless you basically pick up, you basically correct all these things basically by using this ankle strap. And
Basically, if I went and did that, I would drown.
you would,
roughly. Yeah, roughly.
you would drown it.
But
My
also,
shoulders just
it
don't
makes
work.
you really thankful for when you can kick.
Yeah.
When
It
I used to
is.
do those drills in the past, this is back when I literally just had an anchor, and as soon as I take it off, I'd be so happy that I could kick again.
It's nice. And so, yeah, we'll do that drill after this. I think the YouTube video is going to be called The Cheapest Pool Toy, or something like that. The Cheapest Pool Tool or Cheapest Pool Toy.
Tool.
Cheapest
Pool tool.
Swim Toy.
Tool pool.
I don't know. I haven't named the title yet, but that'll be out as this podcast comes out on Wednesday.
This made by Mr. Matt Legrand?
The trap, the little So here, okay,
we're gonna white label this. You're gonna take this thing to market or what?
How it relates to biking? You take a bike inner tube anytime that you have a flat or one that's not patchable or whatever it is. You cut it to the size where you can tie it around your ankles, and you are good to go. So it is not patentable. It is nothing that I came up with. This is something that's been done for a long time.
Gotcha.
But it is a great pool tool.
Very cool. Sounds fun.
Yep.
Something I'll never do. Yep.
Check out the video.
I'll watch the video, but that's about it.
Thank you.
My one last thing is, A, I want to say thank you to everybody who came out to the Ugly Sweater Ride this past weekend. B, an even bigger thank you to everybody who's made a kind donation to the charity to buy bikes for these less fortunate kids. And C, I will post up on our Facebook page again. If you want to check it out, just go to @Dial Podcast on Facebook. The link to the GoFundMe that we are running for the Bikes for Kids campaign. If you don't like using GoFundMe, or if you would like to make a donation to us, you can just reach out to us. We've got Venmo, we've got PayPal, we take checks and cash and all that other stuff, and it can be made out to the Dialed Cycling Team, which is a nonprofit organization, which means that your donation would be a tax write-off, which is kind of cool. So if you want to contribute, help us out with this process, that would be fantastic. If you're still not 100% sure what this whole thing is about, Matt made an excellent video on the whole process that we did last year,
which was really similar. It was we do this ride, we raise money for kids, we build the bikes, and then deliver them
to the kids in person, and really have a lot of fun with it.
And 100% of your donations go directly to Bikes for Kids, the bikes that these kids will have.
Yeah, there's no overhead. We take every last dime and then some, and throw it at this to make it a real cool event for these kids, and they get a cool bike out of it.
Yeah, they do.
Thanks for the text, Matt. Or not Matt, but Evan.
I just realized that was actually to the group that you're in.
Oh yeah. All right. Anything else?
I think that's good.
Yeah, Lance. Good luck, buddy.
Good luck, Lance.
Lance.
Good luck, Lance.
All right. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next week. Bye for now.